Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to give just a minute here. I'm coming on a minute early, let people join. Zoom kind of lets people trickle in. Welcome. This is session 3 of the Get Growing workshop. So welcome. It's great to see many of you who have been here for all 3 sessions, which is awesome. If you missed session 1 or session 2, I do have replays available. So if you did not find them in your inbox, I sent them out via email. Just let me know. Send me an email, say what replay you're looking for. All 3 of the replays are going to be available through the end of October. So you will get a chance to rewatch if you want to, or if you missed part, or if you have to scoot out today, or if you're missing today and watching the replay, then know that those are available through the end of the month. Today we're going to be talking about kind of the final steps. So the first session we did our seeding together, right? We got our supplies, we planted trays, we planted 3 trays together. And many of you I know planted along with me because I've seen your emails and you've DM'd me some pictures of your microgreens. And we're going to be looking at the ones we planted together. Here is our beautiful radish. I love the gorgeous rainbow radish. That purple is so awesome. Our broccoli has grown out. See, ready to harvest. All of these are ready to harvest at day 10. That is the grow cycle that I do. You can see the pea here. You will learn as you start growing microgreens how long your grow cycle should be. For some of you with very warm climates, you may have even a shorter grow cycle, or on some varieties, you may notice your radish, for example, is ready well before your pea. So you may seed that radish a couple days later than your pea if you want everything to be ready at the same time. And that's what I encourage you to do as you start to grow microgreens to sell. If that is one of your goals, you want to have a day where you plan to harvest and deliver your microgreens, and you are going to determine your seeding days based on the length of time it takes for each variety to grow. So you will figure that out after you do a few rotations. That's why this workshop is really designed just to get you growing. Start growing. You are going to learn so much by doing that. Start getting some information about what works in your space, how long your growth cycles are. Learn what your average yields are per tray. That's going to be really helpful too if you're planning to sell. Now I know there's some of you in here who are just wanting to start growing microgreens to eat for your family. Wonderful. Like I've told you, that's how I started too. And if that's the case, this session's still going to be helpful for you because we're going to talk about harvesting and packaging, storing microgreens, all of that. You have a little more flexibility when you are just growing for your family. For many people, and I do this too, you just have a tray or a pot and you harvest as you need. So microgreens are at their freshest, which is a really great thing to do. If you are growing to sell your microgreens, like I said, you want to have a day picked ahead of time that you plan to harvest and deliver your microgreens so that you can plan accordingly. Now, I've talked a little bit in the first couple sessions about my program, Make Money with Microgreens. In that program, I talk a lot about setting up a grow to order system. This is the way to be profitable sooner and to minimize waste in your own microgreens business at whatever scale you're growing. Even if you are starting out with 4 trays a week and you have maybe 10 neighbors, friends, family that you're selling to. Wonderful. This is an amazing way to get started. And you will be surprised how that consistent money helps your family out. When I first started selling to my one restaurant customer, I was making my first order $60 a week. It started really small. With that, I saw the potential. And for some of you, you may choose to keep it really small. That may be the amount of time and energy that you have to put into something like this. So start thinking about what are your goals and how can you start looking for those customers, making those decisions ahead of time so that you are not just growing a bunch of beautiful microgreens and then trying to figure out how to sell them. Is that something we're going to talk about today is shelf life on microgreens. So microgreens have a relatively short shelf life. I say relatively because that's kind of a subjective term, right? What is a short shelf life? But this is something that a lot of your customers will want to know. And the best thing for you to do is to harvest them, put them in your fridge, and see how long they last. For most people, microgreens will last from 10 days to 2 weeks, depending on the variety. Some of the more delicate varieties may be a week that they are at their prime. I package my microgreens with a week-long shelf life and my shoots with 10 days. This is a very conservative best by date. They really do last a lot longer. When you are taking great care with your harvesting and you are packaging them when they are hydrated but dry, the shelf life is really incredible. And a lot of the customers that you find will be surprised how long they stay good in their fridge. Particularly if they have bought microgreens from a grocery store and they have gone bad quickly. And that is sometimes the reason why people are hesitant to buy microgreens is they think they're going to go bad. Because that's been their experience when buying from a grower that is far away from them. A lot of times those microgreens are weeks old by the time they get to an actual person's refrigerator. The beautiful thing about starting a microgreens business right out of your home is you are able to harvest these microgreens and sell them when they are super fresh. So this makes them tastier, better to eat, more fun, also much more nutritious. We do start to lose, like any vegetables, the nutritional value will degrade with time. So we want to get these microgreens on people's plates as quickly as possible. And that is what's wonderful if you're growing them for your own family, is you really can take advantage of this maximum nutritional benefits of microgreens by eating them right after harvesting them. So it's a lot of fun. So we're going to talk a little bit about harvesting, packaging, and all that. Any questions? I should open up the chat here. We are recording. That's good. Let me open up the chat. Feel free to put any questions in the chat or share anything with the group here. This is open for everyone to see. And we're going to dive in. Let me know if you grew some microgreens over the last week, how they're doing. The last time we met, we were just unstacking them. So they were stacked up. I have my next round stacked up here. And we talked about doing a gentle top watering. After that, we moved to a bottom watering, hoping that went well for everybody. Again, we're just lifting up the tray and pouring water into the bottom daily. Now, I bring up watering because this is something to consider when you are harvesting. You want to hold off on watering. You don't want to water right before harvesting. So I actually have not watered these since yesterday morning. And I watered them enough so they are still nice and hydrated. You can see hopefully on the camera there, they are in good shape. They are not wet though. The goal is to have them hydrated, meaning they're not floppy and falling over, but dry foliage. And we do that by holding off on that watering. So instead of coming in here and watering this morning, I held off on that last watering because I know I'm going to harvest these and I want them to be dry. Having microgreens dry is going to help the shelf life. When we put wet microgreens into a container, the shelf life will be considerably less. I'm sure you've all experienced salad mixes or sprouts or maybe microgreens that get slimy because they've been packaged wet. So we'll talk a little bit about packaging as well.
Laura, you left me on red, girl. I had sent you an IG message saying, could I cut them? Was they ready for harvest yet? And you saw it, but you didn't answer my question.
I didn't answer your question?
No, I was like, was they ready to be harvested? Because I guess I have to figure out, is that an eye thing, or do you go according to what the bag says? Like, all right, from germination, it should be ready to go by 12 days. Or am I looking at it? I'm looking for something? Like, how do I know exactly when they're ready to be harvested?
Yeah, great question. So there is some figuring this out, like I said, your length of grow time, that's what from seeding to harvest will range a little bit depending on your conditions. So a lot of times seed companies will give you a recommended amount of time, 10 to 14 days. Well, there's a range, right? Is it at day 10 or at day 14? What you want to do is, yes, look at your microgreens, also taste your microgreens. I recommend when new growers start growing microgreens to grow them past their prime on purpose. So you know what they look like. You will see them turn. I wish I had some in here past their prime. I would show you. The flavor will change for one. They will become bitter. They will also start to yellow. And usually this happens when the true leaf, let me pull out here, when the true leaf is fully formed. So when you look at microgreens, it's hard to see on this Zoom call, but when you look at microgreens, you see those two little leaves, right? Those are the cotyledon leaves, the seed leaves. That's what pushes them up out of the medium. And at this stage, they are going to be tender, flavorful, not at all bitter. Once that center leaf, that true leaf, which looks a little frillier, if you continue to grow, even part of your tray, leave it in there and let it keep growing. See what happens when it gets older. Even though they're going to turn to not being great to eat, it's going to be very beneficial for you as the grower to see. Now, I have kind of got my system down, so I harvest everything at 10 days. Part of this is because it simplifies my system. I am a busy mom. I have multiple other things going on in my life. And at one point in my business, I was planting and harvesting almost every day because things were all staggered and I was harvesting everything at its ideal. This radish probably could have been harvested yesterday. It's starting to get, the leaves are starting to get big. It still tastes great. It's got that nice spicy radish bite. It's not, but the leaves are starting to get a little big. So I know some chefs prefer the leaves smaller. So I would harvest that. I could harvest that yesterday, but because I have grown a business that is sustainable, that I can manage, I will do everything at 10 days. They're still great. The pea also could probably go one more day, but rather than harvesting the radish yesterday, the broccoli today, and the pea tomorrow, so I'm harvesting every day and having to set up and clean up, I harvest them all on day 10. That's what works for me. I have others in my program that really have their harvesting staggered, and that works for them. So some of it's you paying attention to your microgreens. A lot of people will say, well, when they're 2 inches tall or 3 inches tall, maybe. That's one thing you can look at is height. But I would look more at leaf size and flavor. And like I said, I would intentionally grow some out past their prime. This is going to help you know, okay, that's too far. I want to harvest before they start to yellow, before they start to get bitter, before they start to get fibrous and tough. You'll see that with pea shoots. They'll start to get really stringy. They may still look fine, but the texture will change. So be tasting them every day. Be paying attention. Be taking notes. This is how you're going to learn for your environment. Is it at day 8 or is it at day 12 that they're at their best? And then you want to plan accordingly. So you are planting, so you are harvesting when they are at their best. Within a couple day range, like I said, I have a little bit of flexibility there on the days so that I'm harvesting all my microgreens together. The danger of harvesting too soon, it's not a danger. The downside to harvesting too soon is just lower yields. So your microgreens will still taste great. They'll still be nutritious. They may have a little shorter shelf life. The more delicate they are, the faster that they will start to degrade. But you want to harvest so you're getting maximum yields if you are selling these. So if you are harvesting 2 days early on everything, you're going to be missing out on significant yields. The last few days are when things fill out. You can actually see, in fact, I'll show you. I was kind of glad, not glad, but yeah, a little bit glad. This is not an ideal tray. But we're going to use, I specifically only planted these trays for the workshop to show you. Sometimes you don't have an ideal tray. I don't know if you can see that there's a big dip right here, right? It's short here. It's nice and lush on the ends. All of this is great. All of this is great. It's a little dip in there. I like to show people less than ideal trays because a lot of times when you're watching YouTube videos or you're seeing stuff on Instagram, every tray looks perfect, and then you start growing and you think, why doesn't mine look like that? Let me show you another thing. Here's my broccoli. The very end, the corner dried out. No big deal. It happens, right? I'd rather have a tiny loss from dried out corner than have my tray overly wet. So that's the reason this happened, and this is just things you learn as you grow. The reason we have this little dip in the peas is probably I overwatered one day because I can see the bottom. Typically with pea, I don't know if you can see the roots here. There's a little bit of root rot going on right here, right under the short spot. So when you see your peas are short in the center and tall on the ends, typically that's from overwatering. So they've sat in too dense of water in the middle, and the ends have wicked up the water faster. So they've gotten just the right amount. The middle has pooled. No big deal. Again, you may lose an ounce or two of yield here if you harvest. You could leave this and let it catch up, or you could just harvest it as is. It's just a sign to you to pay attention to your watering. And I just want to normalize it because a lot of people get discouraged in the beginning. I have grown thousands and thousands of trays of pea shoots, and still occasionally I'll have a tray that's less than perfect, and that's okay. It's still going to be great microgreens. We're still going to harvest them. They're still going to be wonderful. Hopefully that's kind of answering the question of when to harvest. So yes, you're looking a little bit at height, although not completely. Height is determined, a lot of microgreens, the height is determined early on. So we talked about using a blackout phase, right? Where you're putting a solid tray upside down, depriving those newly germinated seeds, those little shoots of light to get them to stretch taller. That will help on things like broccoli. A lot of your microgreens will stretch out if you black them out for 12 to 24 hours right after unstacking. Some microgreens like peas will get their height later. So they may look short, and in the last couple days, they will shoot up. If your microgreens are consistently short, it's not a huge problem. It's usually just they have less stem, which most people like. The problem is for you as the grower, they are harder to harvest. And if you are growing in deep trays and they're inset down in those deep trays, it's hard to get a knife in there and harvest. Sometimes the root mass is established enough that you could actually like pull it out of the tray, like lift it up like this and actually set the whole thing. But a lot of times you'll damage the microgreens trying to do that. I grew in deep trays at first, and I just kind of figured out how to get my knife in there. And then I switched to the shallower trays. The shallower trays just make it very easy because your knife can just go right at the top. You've got your soil right up to the surface there. It also allows a lot better airflow. So when your microgreens are sitting down in a tray and there's a plastic perimeter around them, even if you have a fan moving air around, it's not getting in, and you'll notice your microgreens tend to be wetter, which causes a problem with shelf life. So you want to have microgreens that are tall enough to make it easy to harvest. So if your microgreens are really short, the few things we talked about are, one, you could do a blackout. You also may pull your lights up a little bit. Maybe your lights are too close to your trays. Your microgreens don't have to work for the light at all. They've got everything they need. Why grow up tall? Because I'm getting everything I need to photosynthesize. Lifting your lights up a little bit may help them to stretch out a little bit as well. So those are kind of the two things you can do if you notice your microgreens are very short. And then as far as the deep trays, because I think you mentioned you're growing in 2-inch trays, that's something to think about. Either you are filling those trays to the top with soil, which means you're going through a lot of medium. If you scale that up, that's just an extra expense. That cost of goods is going to impact your profit margin. So you want to just think about that. Is it worth it? Or would it make more sense to invest in shallower trays where you can fill them to the top so that your microgreens are not being obstructed from airflow and you're not needing to use that much medium? That's just a thing to consider and maybe trial as you're starting your business. So great questions.
Oh, thank you.
Uh,
I just got Modern Growers just that came in like 2 or 3 days ago. The cute
yeah,
little, so I got that. So
great.
I'm gonna switch over to that, the lower trays.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
I think you'll really like them. It was a
Okay.
huge leveling up for me. I used very flimsy 2-inch trays. So when I switched to these that you can like pick up easily with one hand and they don't buckle, it was a game changer for me. If you've never grown in really crappy plastic trays, you don't appreciate it maybe as much. I very much appreciate it. When I started my business, I didn't believe that I could make money. I was very doubtful of myself. So I was very hesitant to invest in anything really. And so I like to mention that because I know there's others out here, out in the world that are also, half of them believes maybe I could do this. I see other people doing it, but part of you is so afraid to make investments. And I will tell you, it's just going to slow you down and hold you back until you decide to believe that you are really doing this. And that's sometimes the hidden benefit to purchasing quality supplies, to enrolling in a program, to signing up with a mentor, all those things, they will help you. They're also signaling your own brain, your own mindset that you believe in yourself, that you really are doing this. And there's so much power in that. Because when you are half doing something and you are not fully committed and you're thinking, well, I'll try it and see if I can make money, then maybe I'll invest in the things. Then maybe I'll sign up for the program. Then maybe I'll get the nicer trays. That half in, half out, a lot of times people just will stay in that for a long time, really unsure of themselves, or something hard will happen, or they're not easily finding customers because they don't have the support they need, and then they'll just give up and say, well, it didn't work for me. I encourage you, if you kind of hear this and you're like, yeah, that's me a little bit, I encourage you to do some soul searching, decide if you want to do this, because a lot of it comes down to that, you deciding it, deciding, I want to do this. There are going to be some things that are hard for you, some things that are easier for you, for everybody. It really comes down to you committing and deciding to do it. And it's why I charge for my program. It's why I charge for my mentorship, because I know that the people who have some skin in the game already, meaning they've invested in this idea, those are the ones who do it. They follow through, they make it happen, and I totally believe you can do it. All of these investments, you are going to get a return on that very quickly. It's a really cool business model in that sense. A lot of other small businesses, you're not recouping your investments for years. It's very common for it to be year 3, 4, 5 before you're actually seeing a profit. Not so with microgreens. You can start actually recouping your investments in the first couple months and have everything paid off and start making just profits, which is really great. It's something that was very attractive to me. Again, I tell you, I was brought up with a very frugal mindset and had a lot of lack of belief that I could sell something, that I could start a business, all of that. So I started slower, and it would have been easier for me if I had just chosen to believe in myself. But I had my own path, and you are on your path too. But I encourage you, do some thinking about this and decide, is this something I want to do? And if so, will this investment help get me there? I know that it will, because I've worked with hundreds of growers inside my program who tell me that they were trying on their own and struggling and almost gave up, and this was kind of their last thing, was to try to get some instruction. Signing up for Make Money with Microgreens will give you the roadmap to follow. So it will give you all the step by step, which can really help because you can stall out. A lot of people stall out on the business end. They don't know for sure, should I actually start a business or should I just start selling? I'm going to walk you through how to do that. And then the growing. There's a lot of bumps in the road with growing microgreens, and people get discouraged because the message out there is microgreens are very easy to grow, which they are. A lot of them are, but there's also challenges to growing them at scale. And we'll talk about that. I'll walk you through my systems that have taken me years to dial in, and I share that with you. Then marketing and selling. This is another hang up for so many people. I will tell you, the majority of people in the program, that is why they're joining the program, is they want some support with choosing a customer base, marketing to that customer base, and successfully selling to them. And that is something that you absolutely can learn. It's a skill just like growing, and I can show you how to do it. I can't do it in this hour-long workshop, but I can do it in the program. It's a very unique community in that we are meeting every single week to get together so we can ask questions, support each other. There's really nothing else like this out there. There's other courses, there's other programs. Many people have come into the program after purchasing those courses because it's missing the support. It's missing the ongoing mentorship from a person. So I encourage you. Yes, I'm pushing my program because I know it will help you. I want you in here. I want to help you be successful. I really believe in the power of microgreens for getting people who have a heart for growing healthy food, getting them growing now. It's approachable. You can start doing it right now in your home. And it is sometimes the first step and the first tide to an actual grower. So when you are selling microgreens to someone, that may be like the first thing or one of the first things that they're actually know the person that's growing their food. People have become very disconnected from their food. And I think that there is a craving in people, a desire to connect with where their food is coming from. I think the pendulum of this broken food system has gone from not that long ago when everybody grew their own food to almost no one growing their food. And now the swing coming back where people are starting gardens again and wanting to grow and going to farmers markets and joining CSAs and trying to connect. So this is a way that you can be part of that movement without needing acreage and infrastructure and tractors and a whole big farm that is out of reach for many people in the here and now. This is something you can start doing now, right now, growing food for people. I am just really passionate about it. It's started so many people on amazing paths, including myself. So it's something that this may be the thing. And if you've been having that prompting, you keep seeing videos and keep thinking, I would love to do that, this is for you. Let's harvest some microgreens. I like to harvest either into a large bin or directly into containers. And a lot of this is depending on my workflow and my time. So ideally, you will have nice dry microgreens and you will harvest them directly into the packages that you plan on selling in if you are selling harvested microgreens. If you're selling living microgreens, we'll talk about that in the program. It's another great sales model. It's a different way of selling. And it's got pluses and minuses. But let's talk about harvesting. It's the most common way of selling microgreens to people. If you do not have the time, this is probably your biggest time piece. So people a lot of times want to know, do I have time to do this? You've seen in the session 1 and session 2, not huge time commitments. Even the seeding doesn't take that long. The watering definitely doesn't take that long. Harvesting and packaging will take the longest. So if you have enough time, and some of this is going to be you doing it to figure out how much time does this take. I would love to tell you how much time it takes per tray. Working with, like I said, hundreds of growers, I have seen a huge range of how much time this takes people. It always takes longer in the beginning. People always get faster and more efficient as they do it. So you're going to have to see how long it takes you. But pay attention. Notice the time. If you're doing this from a business standpoint, you do want to be tracking kind of what are my labor hours here? How much time have I put into the physical growing? How much time have I put into the business end? How much time have I put into marketing and selling so that you have some awareness as the business owner? So pay attention to how long it takes you to harvest. You will be most efficient if you harvest directly into the packages that you plan to sell. However, if you find that you don't have time, when I started this business, I had a baby, I was nursing a baby, I had a toddler. I didn't have long windows of time. So I got into a flow of harvesting my microgreens into larger bins that fit in my refrigerator and having that be one step of the process. And then packaging was another step. I would pull that bin out after both kids were in bed, and my evening time, I would package microgreens, and that worked really well for me. If you have the time to harvest directly into your bins, that's just going to be a little more efficient, one less step. I use a couple different sizes. This is a question I get a lot, and these are clear, so I'm not sure if you'll be able to see them. Let me see if I've got something. Maybe that will show them better. No, it doesn't really show them. You can see them, right? You can see they're clear. These are the plant-based packaging. So there's lots of different packaging. If you get into the program, we'll go through lots of packaging options, along with a whole pricing structure. We're not going to get into that today because that's a whole nother lesson on how to price your microgreens, but that is something that people find very valuable as a starting point. So I harvest into a couple different size containers. This is a 24-ounce container. That means it holds 24 fluid ounces. Does not mean it holds 24 ounces of microgreens. I use this for my shoots, and it holds about 3 ounces of pea shoots. The smaller container, which I moved to because most people prefer a smaller container, which, market research, you got to figure out what people want. This is a 12-ounce container, and I put about 1.5 ounces of microgreens, like we'll harvest my micro broccoli, into this. The final size that I use is this 64-ounce. It's much bigger. It holds 8 ounces. So when people are buying pounds of microgreens, they'll get 2 of these for every pound they order. So if you're wholesaling microgreens or selling them by the pound, you'll want a larger container. My main point of sharing container sizes is to tell you, do not have 10 or 12 different sizes. People start getting a different size for all these different types of customers and different types of microgreens. It's a nightmare to keep track of in your inventory. It is challenging for people to understand pricing when things are all different sizes. So pick a size. Pick 2 sizes, 3 sizes max, and stick with those, what works. You're going to ask yourself, who am I selling to, and how much microgreens do they want? I assumed people would want these big containers. A lot of people were not buying them because they did not think they could eat that much microgreens. It takes people a while to learn. You can put microgreens on everything, and that's part of the educating that you get to do, is helping take away some of this fancy garnish idea and translate that to healthy living food that you add to everything to boost the nutritional content of your meal. And as you start to be more effective in educating people, people will want to buy more microgreens. But in the beginning, you may find that a smaller size does better. Talk to your people. If you're selling at a farmer's market, this is a really easy opportunity to ask people, what do you like? What works for you? And maybe they'll say, yeah, we just still have them from last week. Or we don't want these little containers. I'm having to buy 3. I wish you sold a big package. Listen to your people. You're going to make so many decisions based on what people are wanting. You're going to want it to be good for them. When it comes to harvesting, you're just going to use a sharp knife. A lot of people want to know what one. I think I have one on my supply list. This is the one I use. It's a fillet knife. I don't really necessarily recommend it, but I'm very used to it. And that's the point. You want to use a knife that is comfortable in your hand, that you are comfortable with, and that you are efficient with. So that's going to depend on your hand size, your comfort level with knives. You want something that you can sharpen. I sharpen my knife every time before I harvest. It is razor sharp. And that helps with shelf life also. If you are cutting with a dull knife or you are snipping with scissors, the ends of your microgreens will be ragged. They may not look like it just to the naked eye, but if you looked at them under a microscope, they are jaggedy instead of just clean cut, and they will start to brown sooner. So you want to use a very sharp knife. Can you see this? I can't see myself on Zoom. Can you see my table or no? If I go back, maybe? Okay. So when I just take my sharp knife, and I'll start on this corner here that dried out a little bit, and I just cut with my hand like this. Now, depending again on what your customer likes, you can package them very neatly into your package, or you can package them loosely. I tend to package them loosely. That way, if they're wet, I can fluff them a little on a paper towel, allow any seed holes to drop off, and make sure they're nice and dry. But it's as simple as that. You can see it's pretty quick and efficient. I'm going to go down. I usually make 3 passes and harvest directly into the package if I'm able to do that, onto a paper towel if they're wet at all. Same thing with the radish. I'm just using my hand to grab. Of course, hand hygiene is the most important thing, that goes without saying. Any kind of food safety class that you take, this is going to be a major takeaway. So this is something I just mentioned, and hopefully everyone is aware when you are harvesting anything, even raw agricultural products, which I will label these as, and we go more in depth in the program as far as from a liability standpoint, what is the difference between food ready to eat, which is a legal term, or raw agricultural product, and what requirements are for those different things. These are considered raw agricultural product. On my label, it says unwashed, so people know that these have not been washed. But we always want to make sure hand hygiene, absolutely critical. You must wash your hands before handling your microgreens. You should have your hair tied back. You don't want hair. This is obviously for demonstration purposes. You want to have your hair back. You want to have your hands clean. If you need to take a break, if you need to check your phone, you're going to wash your hands. This is like food prep. Imagine yourself making food for anybody. The last thing we want is for people to get sick. I fill my packages pretty full. You can weigh them using your kitchen scale. You should have a kitchen scale. The same one that you use for measuring seed will work for your microgreens. And then we want to just make sure when we're packaging that there's no stems or leaves along the edges. If those get crushed, they're going to go bad first. So we don't want anything to decrease the shelf life. So that's where it takes a little finessing. And I use these that have detached lids, so I just pop the lid on and I can put a label right on top. My labels, I buy actually from a printer, and they come in a big roll. A lot of you may print your own labels to start. That will minimize cost, but you can put the label on. You can pre-label them, or you can stick the label on after. You will figure out what workflow works for you the best. I love having the detached lids, but a lot of people use a traditional clamshell that has like a hinged top. What you do not want is any kind of domed top. That will be a challenge for you. People get them because they think that they're going to look nice for the microgreens, and they do look nice, but they are very challenging to stack. And so they become hard for you to store. They take up a lot more room, and they don't stack. They're always falling over in the fridge. If you're selling to a restaurant, they will hate it. They want things that stack nicely in the walk-in cooler. So what you want is a recessed lid, one that sits in a little bit. You'll notice most clamshells, I use these from Good Start Packaging. They are the plant-based. I think I've talked about that. So they are compostable in industrial composting. They are not a perfect solution to the single-use plastic problem, but in my opinion, they are a step in the right direction. So as a business owner, I want to support alternatives to petroleum-based products. And so these are great. And they really do a good job of keeping the microgreens. These ridges will help wick away any moisture. So a lot of times there will be some condensation. I'm going to put this package directly into the fridge. And right now there's no condensation, right? It just looks like dry, beautiful microgreens. I'm going to put it from this 73-degree room into the refrigerator. There will be some condensation. The condensation is going to accumulate in the ridges, and that kind of pulls it away, wicks it off of the microgreens, which keeps the shelf life long. These will last a very long time. Same with the smaller containers. They have the ridges as well. We're going to pop a lid on there. The pea shoots are super quick and easy to harvest. Again, those are longer, so you want to harvest on the stem so that they fit neatly into the package. So with pea shoots, you can kind of decide. You can harvest up higher, or you can harvest all the way at these are not too tall. Sometimes they get even taller than this, and then you want to harvest up the stem a little bit. These ones I'd harvest right at the soil level. They will be perfect length to fit into these 24-ounce containers. So they will fit very neatly and nicely. I have a 4 6-ounce resealable pouches. Absolutely, you can start with those. I will tell you, I sold in Ziploc bags when I started. So get selling, right? And as you grow, you will probably shift your packaging to something that is customer friendly, that works really well. But yes, if you have something now that works, absolutely use it. Bags can be, they're lower cost typically, but they can be take longer to package. It can be harder to put the microgreens in. So as you scale up, you want to look at, you saw how easy it is to throw them in these containers. That time piece, labor will be your biggest cost. So you do want to think about, as you're scaling, how can I be more efficient with my time? But in the beginning, get growing, right? Get selling, get your microgreens out to people. If you have bags, I have many actually in my program who do sell in bags that have the gusseted bottom, so they sit up on a shelf. Yeah, and they're very nice. Yeah, those are great. So that works, right? You will decide as you scale, do I still like these? Are they working? You can make those decisions. You will want to just think about what works best. And that's part of the great thing about running your own business is you can start making these decisions. If you want to get away from packaging altogether and sell living microgreens, you can do that. If you want to start a reusable container program and have a subscription where people are giving you their containers and you're reusing them, you can do that. If you want to use plant-based containers, you can choose to do that. I find that my customers very much value this. I live in Seattle. There is industrial composting available. That may not be applicable. If you live in an area where there's no facilities and these can't actually be composted, then maybe that's not the best fit for you. Maybe using just traditional clamshells is the best way to get you started. I started with selling in Ziplocs. That's how I took my microgreens around. And I look back on myself, and you know, the important thing was doing it. You got to do it. Be okay with being less than perfect in the beginning. Take action. Let the microgreens be the star. Let your passion for them and your excitement about the nutrition, the healthy food, selling locally, let that really show through. It's going to be so much more important than what kind of bag or clamshell you're selling your microgreens in. As you grow your business, it will just make sense for you to make some shifts around packaging, labels, things like that, to make your business more efficient and to have it work better for people. But don't feel like you got to wait. And people get very caught up in researching things. And I've talked a lot with people who have struggled just for my own learning as an educator to learn what holds people back. And a lot of people in that first year, they spend so much time researching. And that's the downside to having so much information available. It's great in some ways. You can learn about anything. You can find videos on how to package microgreens, right? It can be overwhelming and people can just kind of get paralyzed in this, I gotta make the right decision. So I encourage you to let go of some of that. Start doing something, start taking some action. So much clarity will come when you take action and you will start to see this works or this doesn't work. And you will make the shifts. So use what you have if you have something. If you don't have anything, think about what would work the best for you. I love the clamshells because they are very stackable. So they're easy to transport, they're easy to fill up cases. I wholesale my microgreens, so this makes the most sense for me. I do not have the resources or the customer buy-in to do any kind of reusable containers, but I applaud people that are doing it. I think it's wonderful. I have a great grower who sells in wide top mason jars. People return those. There's a lot of fun things you can do as the business owner, and that's part of the great thing of running your own business. Even if it's a small scale side hustle, maybe even more so, is you can make things work. You can find the people that are aligned with your values. You can encourage people that here's one step to eating better. And for so many of my customers, that is the win, right? It's busy moms who would love to cook every meal from scratch using whole foods, but the reality of their kids' soccer schedules and all of that is that they end up relying on convenience food sometimes. And what I do, instead of shaming them for that, because I get it, is say, here's something you can do without necessarily overhauling your entire lifestyle that doesn't feel realistic, but here's a great way to add extra nutrition. My kids love microgreens, and my kids are very normal kiddos. They're picky, they've all gone through their picky stages, and that was part of what really hooked me onto microgreens, was seeing my kids wanting to eat them. And it's another great thing that you can share with people, is just, this is an easy way to get your kids eating microgreens. Can you mail them? Yeah, that's a great question. Some people do. I do not. Part of my real vision for my business is this hyper local idea. And so I choose to focus on that. You do have to narrow yourself in, or you will be more effective if you narrow yourself in. But there are some that ship microgreens. There's more involved with that for sure. When people ask me if I will ship them, I help connect them with a local grower in their area. I want to encourage this movement. I want there to be microgreens growers, people growing and selling microgreens in every town, every city. Like, I think there should be one. So you should be it in yours. If there's already one, you should still be it, because there are a lot of people. The majority of people are not eating microgreens daily or weekly or at all. So there's still lots of room. I encourage people to go in the hyperlocal angle, because I think it's a way that you can compete with large-scale agriculture. There are large-scale microgreens operations out there, if you don't know already. And so you are competing with some of those huge warehouses that are growing hydroponic microgreens at such scale that they get the cost down. The way you can compete without bringing your costs down and kind of battling it out that way is with the quality, the freshness of your microgreens. And that really works best on a local scale, meaning my microgreens, I harvest them the same day I sell them. So within 24 hours of harvesting, they are sold, versus sitting in cold storage for a week and then getting shipped to wherever and then sitting for another 5 days before they actually go, which is how these larger scale operations work. So that's my recommendation, but absolutely, if you want to sell, to ship microgreens, you can. I just encourage you to think about the why behind it. And that selling hyperlocally, that is a great selling point for people in your areas to say, I grow these a few miles down the road or 20 minutes away. And if you start looking at your community, I have growers all around the world, some in urban areas. Typically, when you are in an urban area, there's more awareness of microgreens. There's also more people growing microgreens. On the flip side, if you are somewhere that is more rural, I've got a great grower in South Dakota. She said nobody will ever eat microgreens. Nobody knows about them. Corn and potatoes, that's what people look at as vegetables. She has really carved out an amazing space of selling microgreens by educating people. And the beauty there is no one else is growing them. So less knowledge about them, but also way more open market. So there's always, wherever you're at, you just kind of look at, like, if there are lots of other people growing microgreens, great. That means people probably know what they are. You can hit the ground running with why your microgreens are amazing and dial in your marketing there. If nobody knows what microgreens even are, and you're starting with educating what microgreens are, probably there's not a lot of growers in your area, which means you got this wide open market. And that's really exciting too. So choosing to be excited about your local people that you can serve by growing these nutrient dense greens is the way to go. So this is pretty quick overview with harvesting, packaging, key points. Hold off on that last watering. Make sure you're using a super sharp knife. Packaging your microgreens when they are dry. Airtight containers, so no vented whole containers. They're gonna end up limp and wilty if you put them in there. You can put them in there just to see. I always encourage everyone to trial things. Just like I said, grow your tray past its prime to see what it looks like, how it tastes, so you know kind of the cutoff of like, okay, they're over now. I wouldn't sell them past this day. Same thing, microgreens. Put them in your fridge. Push the limits. See how they look, taste, the texture at all the different days so that you can speak with great authority on the shelf life of your microgreens. I always, when I'm doing a best by date, which is what my customer prefers, I'm very conservative with that because I want them to still be excellent on that date. So not just like on the last legs going out, starting to look puny, but actually still look great. You can decide, a lot of growers opt to just put a harvested by date. That makes it really simple for you. That goes back to what does your customer want? If you're wholesaling and you're in stores, they will most likely want a best by date. It makes it a lot easier for their staff to know when to pull things and when things are still good. Then you're going to put these right into a refrigerator. That's the second thing after harvesting with a sharp knife, dry in a sealed airtight container, nice and full. I have very little negative space in these containers. They're not smashed, but it is chock full. I don't have dead airspace. I want it nice and full. They actually have better shelf life without that extra air. I put them right into the fridge. So you want to get them cool as quickly as possible. If you can have a designated refrigerator for your microgreens, do that. Refrigerators are available everywhere for free or low cost. If you are looking for a used one, there are so many people that are upgrading their appliances that are getting rid of perfectly working fridges. So if you're trying to keep your costs low and you don't want to invest in a new refrigerator, consider that. Yes, you can use a cooler with ice packs. It is not as good. I did that in the beginning. It is not as good. You don't want to put microgreens directly on ice packs. Microgreens cannot freeze. If they freeze, they will turn to mush. At a cellular level, they are destroyed. So you also need to make sure you have a fridge that is not going to dip below freezing. It's a really sad thing. I've had it happen before where it's been a good learning lesson. Where my walk-in cooler actually dropped below freezing and I lost a large order of microgreens. So make sure your microgreens are not freezing in the fridge. Better to be a couple degrees above freezing just to keep you safe, but you do want them nice and cold. And I recommend that you are harvesting and delivering them in that first hour. That is in that first day, not the first hour, the first day. I like to harvest mine in the evening and deliver them in the morning. That way they have had a chance to cool. So they've been in the fridge all night. They're nice and cool, and I can take them to my distributor or my direct sale customers when they're nice and cool and then go directly into another refrigerator. That is going to keep the shelf life as long as possible. You want to have and extend that shelf life. That is something that you have to offer as a small scale grower, is that freshness that you're harvesting them and that they have a much longer shelf life as a result of that. That's what your customers care about, is that they last. They're not going bad 2 days after they buy them. Let me see here. I have my first $10 sale with my blend. Good job, you. Way to go. That's awesome. Yeah, the first sales are so exciting, right? It's giving you some evidence that I can do this. And really, when you think about having 10 direct sale customers, that's pretty doable. I will tell you, in your own personal network, you probably have 10 people who would love to start buying microgreens from you weekly or bi-weekly. And $10 an order is very typical. My direct sales are usually between $10 and $20 worth of microgreens. It adds up. And it's not that much microgreens that you're having to grow to fill those orders. So the pressure is low. It's so fun to sell directly to people. It's so rewarding because you know you are giving them something that is helping them to be healthier, helping them to live better lives. It is very win-win. It's very satisfying. So congratulations for that. It's so exciting. Let's say at 14 days, my microgreens start getting bitter. If I harvest at 10 to 12 days, will they start to get bitter? You'll have to see that. That's why I encourage, it's a great question. It's good to know, okay, at 14 days, they're definitely too far gone. You will have to taste. I have really come to this 10-day mark as that being the ideal time for harvest. And I do tell people this, I don't know if this will help with your question, but a lot of people ask, okay, my microgreens are ahead of schedule. Maybe whatever, it was warmer than you thought, your grow environment got warmer, and they look like they are prime and ready to go, but you weren't planning to harvest for 2 more days. Should you harvest them now, or should you wait 2 days and harvest them so you're harvesting them the day you're delivering? I encourage you harvest them at their prime. If you wait until they are tough, stringy, or bitter, it doesn't matter that it's 24 hours in when you harvested to when you delivered if they're not the best quality. So I would rather, if that happens, and it does happen some in the beginning when you're figuring it out, I'd rather harvest a day early and have them sit in the cooler when they're cut at their ideal conditions than push it to when they're on the verge of turning bitter or the texture is starting to get a little fibrous, a little stringy. I would harvest sooner. So if you know that day 14 they are bitter, my guess is 10 to 12 days they're probably still good. But I wouldn't go 13, that day before. They're probably just starting to turn, the texture as well. Good question. If you're just keeping them for yourself and the family, you just put them in a container and right into the refrigerator. Do you wash them when you use them? Great, another great question. So if you're harvesting for your family, you can harvest off of your tray as you need them, but you will see that then they keep growing, right? So this is the challenge with selling living microgreens too, is they're alive, they keep growing, they will get past their prime over the course of the week. So a lot of people will still opt to harvest them even for personal use, put them in an airtight container and put them right into your fridge. I do not wash any of my microgreens. In my opinion, it will degrade or diminish the shelf life. It also, when you look at studies around food safety, the higher risk for contamination comes with handling them multiple times. So the more times you are handling them post-harvest, the higher risk for some kind of contaminant getting into your microgreens. So I do not wash them. I sell them unwashed. I let people know that they are unwashed. On my packaging, I think it says wash before eating. This is a liability coverage for me, and I tell people that. I say, I don't actually personally wash my microgreens. I don't wash them before I give them to my kids. These are safe. These have been grown with with food safety in mind. They do not need to be rinsed, but some people will still opt to, and that's fine. If you do, you want to just spin dry them. Some people will wash like sunflower shoots or things like that to try to remove seed holes. You can do that. Again, in my experience, I have trialed these things. I prefer to not wash them and to sell them unwashed and to let the end consumer decide if they want to wash them or not. But from my perspective, I'm wanting to give them the highest quality product that is clean, dry. These are completely clean. I am sowing the seed right on the surface. There's no medium left on them. Sometimes there's some seed holes. Typically those come off with harvest. Sometimes with a clean hand the day before, I will just brush the top of the tray like this. I don't do it right before harvesting because it kind of ruffles them up a little bit and they look a little sad, but they'll bounce right back. It knocks off the seed holes. The seed holes, we talked about how they stick to the bottom of the tray when you unstack them. Well, some of them stick to the microgreens. Most of them are off these trays because they're ready to go. But they will just start to break down faster than the microgreens. So you don't want anything in that package that's going to start to turn bad, including empty seed holes. There's a few in there. There's always a few. Wouldn't worry about them. You're not hand picking them off. But with sunflowers, if you're growing those, they have those large seed holes. They're quite unpleasant to get in your mouth. So you want to, I walk you through how I do those in the program. It's not one that I recommend you start of the first 3 because Seed is really inconsistent. So you can get a great batch of seed that works well for microgreens, and then there's always trouble around getting black oil sunflower seed that is growing consistently when grown from microgreens. So I don't now have it in my top 3 to grow, but it is very popular, and it is the one most common one that people wash, and that's why I bring it up, is that is one you might consider washing if you have a triple sink, and you can soak, gently agitate, and then spin dry, and probably need to fan dry also. Requires a little more infrastructure in your post-harvest area, but if you have set up, particularly a lot of farmers or market gardeners that are adding microgreens as a product to their business may consider doing this because they already wash their salad mix, and so they have this set up. You can definitely consider it. I would just do some trialing. That's what I recommend everyone do with everything. Try things out. Compare. So harvest some microgreens dry, put them in a package, put them in your fridge, wash some, spin them down, and put them in your fridge, and compare the shelf life. If they seem the same, then you have to ask yourself, why am I washing them? Am I worried that there's some contaminants I'm trying to wash off, or is the customer saying, I wish these were washed? Those are reasons maybe you would consider it. If not, I try to eliminate steps that are just adding workload and not improving the product. So that is one for me that definitely adds a lot of steps and a lot of work. And for me, I don't see any benefit because I prefer to market these still as unwashed. Even when I was washing my sunflower, I would still have unwashed on the package to keep them in that raw agricultural product, so that my business is under the umbrella of agriculture. So you are going to either be under, I don't want to get, I'm trying to speak to this without getting too in the weeds. But that's kind of what I have to say about washing, is you can, but I don't recommend it. That's a simple answer. I could have just said that, right? Even, yeah, for your family, you could definitely wash them if you want to, and it'll knock off some of the seeds, and you're going to be eating them in a day or two. It doesn't matter, but I don't even bother. They're nice and clean when I harvest them. My kids will just pull them right out of the trays and eat them, or snip them themselves. Kids love to cut things and eat them themselves, especially if they've grown them. So it's another fun thing. I do a lot of workshops teaching people how to grow microgreens. And that's a really fun thing. And it may seem like if you are a business owner selling microgreens and teaching people how to grow them, you're going to lose your business. I'll tell you, not at all. All of my, I've got so many regular customers from doing these workshops. People love the idea. A lot of people, it's just one more thing. They don't have the time or bandwidth to do it, even though they would love to. They may still love to come to a workshop and have their kids learn about it. It's a fun thing. I have a bonus in the program where I kind of walk you through how I run a workshop. Super hands-on, fun to do at all different levels. I'm doing one with my son's first grade class. It's going to be, so then we just gear it towards littles. If you're doing it with grown-ups, you know, it's a fun thing. You can have fun tastings at the end and let people have some grown-out microgreens so people can try these amazing flavors and get excited about growing food. It's a really fun way to empower people to grow their own food. And a lot of people will want to buy microgreens from you. Some will keep growing, and a lot will still buy from you. So it's a fun kind of extra thing you can do with your business. You've probably seen a lot of people selling grow kits. Another way to encourage people to grow a little pot of microgreens or a little tray of microgreens right on their kitchen counter. For many of us, that really fits with our values and why we're doing our business, is we're wanting to encourage people to connect with real living food. So that's another way you can do it. All right, other questions about harvesting, packaging? We're not getting too much into selling. It's a whole another class, but it's a lot of fun. It's the thing that scared me a lot and scares a lot of people, and not wanting to ask people for money. And there's a whole lot about that. You can do it. You can learn it. You can actually learn to love it. It's all about how you think about it. Like so many things, right? Shifting how we think about something totally changes how we feel about it. And there's so many things in your business. It's one of the reasons I love helping encourage people to start businesses, even small scale side hustles, because they will help you on your own personal growth journey the way nothing else will. I mean, it is amazing the stuff that comes up that you get to deal with. And to grow as a person, to be a successful business owner is a lot of fun. So it's something that comes up a lot in the program too. We talk a lot about practical growing and selling tips, but also mindset things. When people get discouraged, get frustrated, almost everyone can go through that. There's these dips, life gets busy, and you question, should I keep going with this business or not? It's a good opportunity to have a community around you. Do you have local meetup events in your area for growers? I have not done any in-person, other than there happens to be a few growers near me that I've connected with or I've gone to see at markets and things that are in my program just to meet them in person and cheer them on. But no, my community and program is all online, which just makes it more accessible for a large group of people. I also have some boundaries around my own personal life, private life, family. And so this helps me keep that really clean, where I can have a community of growers online and still keep my personal farm private for my family. And that's something that's you want to think about also. Some people love the idea of having people come to their farm, picking up microgreens from where you live. That's great. If you love that, if that works for your family, I will tell you, you don't have to do that. If you would rather have kind of a clear line of delineation between home and business, which can be, you have to create that. If you have a business that you're running from your home, you have to create that boundary if you need it and want it, and consider everyone who lives in your home and everyone who's part of your family and what's going to work for them to have a sustainable business. For many people, even who want to sell direct, you may want to offer deliveries or have a pickup point that is not your home. So you can have a depot, you can have a friend who lives in town who wants to open up their porch, you could have a local health food store in town that wants to have a cooler of your microgreens that people can come and pick up every Monday or whatever, brings people into their store. And it allows a central place that is not your home for people to come during business hours and pick up their microgreens. There's a lot of different things you can do. So start thinking now, early on, about how do I create a sustainable business that works for my life and my family? What about broader related groups? Are there something like a chamber of commerce? Yes, but more focused on growing, selling markets. Yeah, absolutely. Almost a lot of towns or areas will have something like this. Definitely a chamber of commerce that you can get involved in as a business owner. As well as I encourage you, even if you don't want to sell at a farmer's market, to tap into that scene in some way. Maybe you are a guest vendor, maybe you do some pop-ups, other community events. Start putting the feelers out there and just letting your passion for what you're doing shine and be really open to learning. I think people appreciate that as a new business owner when you come in and say, I'm starting this business, I have this vision for helping people eat nutritious, locally grown microgreens. I want to tap into this community farmers market, finding whoever the market manager is and just connecting with them and asking about groups, resources local to you. That's going to be different for everybody depending on where they live, but it's something that we get to seek out. Most likely they're not going to come to you, find out, oh, I heard you have a rack of microgreens in your basement. Can come be with us. They're not, but they'll probably accept you with open arms if you go to them with this attitude of, I'm so excited to be part of this movement of locally grown and raised food and connecting with farmers. And some microgreens business owners can feel a little intimidated by larger scale farms. I encourage you to push past that, to feel uncomfortable a little bit and do it anyway, to show the public that farming can look very different. There's lots of different ways to grow food, and that's a way that you can start educating, encourage people, is by having the confidence to get into those groups, connect with other business owners, connect with other farmers. It is amazing the different collaborations, if you are open to them, that you will find if you put yourself out there. And I encourage you to do it, to reach out to other business owners that would love to connect with you. In your local community, look for business owners that are also committed to growing health in people, and find ways that you can maybe work together, collaborate, connect, all of that. Just depending on your goals, your passions, and maybe you're a total foodie and you want to get into that restaurant scene and start meeting chefs, do it. Figure out how to do it. I share in the program how one of the key books when I was first starting my business was Marie Forleo's book, Everything is Figure Outable. And that book, that simple message resonated for me. Like, you know, when you read something and you're at a place in your life that you're ready to receive that message. That was it for me. But that decision that you can figure out anything, like you can do it. And I've heard that, we hear that our whole life, right? You can do it, you got this, whatever. But when you're actually ready to believe that you can figure it out, if I can do this, you can do this. Absolutely. It's you choosing to believe in yourself, you choosing to do it. Let your reason for why you want to do this motivate you. Sit with it, think about it, write about it, journal about it. Why? Why are you drawn to this? There's a whole bunch of ways you can make money from home. So if it's just that, I want to make money from home, there's more. Why microgreens? Like, dive into the why behind it. Ask yourself, why is that important to me? This is what will fuel you on the days that you are maybe not loving as much, that it feels very monotonous, the growing. Maybe you're tired, maybe people are not buying the way they used to. All the normal ebbs and flows of a business. Let your reason why you're doing this and the passion spur you on to keep going. And make sure you're in the program, because we will also lift you up. Reach out to me. I'm offering a mentorship opportunity, which gives you 6 private sessions with me. This is an amazing opportunity, and I haven't done this for almost 2 years, but I will take on private people. So you will get into my program, you will have access to everything, weekly calls, and all of the foundational videos walking you through how to do this. We will also do some deep diving into your personal business. You can stagger these calls out so that you are getting one a month if you'd like, or you can do a couple in the beginning, get rolling, and then bank a couple calls for later in the year. Up to you how you want to do it, but we're going to look specifically at where are you at, what are your goals, how can we develop a plan to get you there. And I highly recommend, I really, really wish if I had had something like this, my business I would have been able to jump over those first 3 years of struggle where I considered quitting at least every week. Sometimes multiple days in a row. I would think, why am I doing this? This is so much work. I don't know. It'd be so much easier to just pick up a shift at the hospital than keep doing this. Those kind of thoughts and it took a long time of struggle and ups and downs. I want you to be able to skip over that. You will still have some ups and downs for sure, but I can help you look ahead to the future and anticipate issues and just streamline your success so that you can accomplish what you're wanting to do. Whatever your goal is, whatever your why is, your reason for doing this, we're going to dive into it and look at specifically what are your goals. For some of you, they're revenue goals, right? Some of you are wanting to make a certain amount of money to pay for something in your life, very practical. Others of you, it's a little bit more nuanced than that. Maybe you're really looking for a way to live out your purpose. And I feel like that kind of sounds cheesy because it's maybe oversaid, but it is what all of us want. We want to find a way to contribute to the world. We want to find out, what am I here for? What's the point? And we find it in lots of things. Many of us have kids and families, and that is wonderful. And I absolutely love my kids. Being a mom is a huge part of my life and my identity. I will tell you that it is so beneficial for me and makes me such a better person and a better mom to have this passion that I do, this business, to model for my kids that I'm doing something that I love and that is important to me, and to have them be a part of it, have them witness it. Not have me just say you can do anything you want to do, but have them see that I am doing what I want to do. And that is really powerful. So I kind of got off on a tangent there. Sorry, I get excited. You can tell that I am very passionate about this, not only my personal growing, but also encouraging other people in this whole movement worldwide for small scale operations like this, growing on racks, growing for your local people, making those connections. The trickle effect of impacting someone's life positively is huge. And I want to help you if you are wherever you're at. If you have started a business already, doing the mentorship would be great for you. It would be really helpful to look at what's working, what's not. If you are brand new, also would be an amazing gift to yourself to start with that, to start with someone who can help you, who has been where you're at and can help you clarify what you want and how to get there. So I'm going to send out an email follow-up. It will have the replay from today. It will also have anything, the main topics we covered and the information about this mentorship, as well as the program. So it closes the end of the month. Halloween, I think, is the enrollment closes. So you have a few weeks, but just get in now. Start now. Waiting to try to figure it out. For most people, it's just a stalling tactic. They're waiting, I don't know, for someone to tell them this is your decision. If you want to do this, now is the time to get in the program. Sign up, get the calls with me, and I am so excited to get to know you better, to work on your particular business and help you jump through those business hoops, figure out how you're going to set up your growing space, who you want to market and sell to, and how you're going to do that. So watch for the email, and thank you so much for your time. I went a little long on this one, but I appreciate you all sticking it out with me, and reach out with other questions. If you're trying to figure out if this would be a good fit for you moving forward working with me and you're not sure, just send me an email. We can even set up a quick call if you want to chat more about it, just to figure out if it would be a good fit for you. And if there's no other questions, this is great messaging. Thank you. Yes, you're so welcome. Thank you. You guys have been great. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see many of you in the program on our next weekly call next week. All right.